We are going to go deeper into what really transforms your health from the inside out. I am speaking to Kirti Tewani. She is an Ayurvedic enthusiast. You can find her on Instagram, always sharing some amazing natural skincare and hair care tips to help you. But we're going to go even deeper than that. We're going to talk about even the foods that we eat, the sleep that we get. Think about all the building blocks of what it takes to create a healthy life. This conversation is all about that. And Kirti is so encouraging and so helpful. And I know when you hear this, you're going to walk away with at least one actionable tip you can do today. In fact, there is a actionable challenge that we both give to you in this one. So I'm excited for you to have a listen. Make sure if you do, you share it widely because there's always someone that can benefit too. I'll see you inside. Thank you so much for being here today on Feel Good Naked. I know this is going to be a very downloaded episode with the wisdom you're about to share. So thank you for being here.
It's very kind of you to say that. No, I really appreciate. I'm super excited to be here and have this conversation today. Well, one of the biggest missions is to understand your own body. Sickness doesn't happen overnight. In most cases, it does not. The body starts signaling tiny things way earlier than, something drastic is about to happen in your body. But we often just kind of neglect all of those signs. Like, oh, I was sleeping great, but now I can't sleep anymore. I'm waking up multiple times. So instead of investigating right there, what is happening in my body that now I can't sleep anymore peacefully like I used to, we just let it go. And that just one thing over the top and then another and then another. And it just keeps piling up. It just becomes like a pile and then boom. And we're like, oh, suddenly I have this. I'm like, no, you did not have this suddenly. The body was giving you signals, but we just chose to ignore it. So one of the things I always say, like, we need to start listening to our body much earlier than, that drastic situation happens. And once you start becoming that intuitive about your own body, a lot of things, can be solved. And we never get to that, oh my God, overnight.
I'm sure many people who will be listening will be thinking about this, whether that's the sleeping issue you described or the skin issue they're struggling with or the hair issue. It does feel sometimes like it's overnight, but we know that it's built up over time. And I love the idea of understanding your body. It feels like a lot of times we're just trying to find solutions to fix whatever the symptoms are, but we're not actually investigating, as you were saying, to why is this happening? Why am I breaking out all the time? Why am I losing so much hair? Like, why are these things happening to me?
No, I completely agree. And I've always said, like, when you are breaking out, instead of immediately switching your moisturizer, switch your food. What's going on? Because your skin is the visual representation of your gut. And you can add all the retinols and everything, but if you're not sleeping well, you will age faster. If you're not eating well, you will keep breaking out and have other issues. So a lot of people won't even tell you, you go to a professional and you have eczema, they'll just give you an ointment and they'll not tell you, check your food, because there's something in your food that is triggering your eczema. Eczema is a gut dysfunction for majority of the times, right? Sometimes it's environmental, but a lot of times it is related to your gut. And I feel like that lack of knowledge has people wound up in this cycle where this is not working. This was working 2 weeks ago, but this is not working now. So I'm going to switch. I'm going to buy more, buy more, buy more. Part of my job is to test products. That doesn't mean you have to buy every single product that I am talking about.
How do we find that balance between the products we use and then what we're doing for our gut health? Because even when you were speaking about the skin being the signal of your outer health, that resonates so much. I'm just thinking, I'm coming back from a couple months in Brazil and people have said to me like, oh, your skin looks so good. What are you using? And I'm just thinking coconut water and mangoes. Like literally nothing else. Yeah. But it's so true that there is so much internal stuff that we can do that changes our outer appearance. How do you find that balance between product and then working on the inner composition? Is it we start with one and we move into the other? Like, how? This is a huge question. This could be a podcast. Yeah. for the purposes of this episode. What are your thoughts on that? Because I think you do a really good job on that line.
So, one thing that you said, what do you do to your skin? People were asking you in Brazil, and you said coconut water and mangoes. So, understanding the properties of those foods is going to be a game changer for most people, right? Coconut water has cooling properties, mangoes are a little bit hot. So, you're like balancing. So you're having coconut water, but you're also having mangoes. So the body's not becoming extremely cold and dry, according to Ayurveda, and the body's not extremely becoming hot because you're eating too much mangoes because coconut water is then cooling it down. So you have this perfect balance and a good combination of food going on in your body. I think that is something that is very essential for every person to understand. When you eat something, next day, look at your skin, look at your body. Do I feel bloated? What did I eat yesterday that made me bloated? It was just the food. And sometimes it's not just a single food, it's just a combination, the wrong timing. So once you start analyzing those tiny things, you can start solving your own food problems. A lot of time, I also suggest if you have some issues going on, start food journals. I ate this at this time, this at this time, this at this time, and then go back and be like, wait, I've already eaten this food in the past and it didn't give me anything, but this time it did. Why? Then you already have the answers. Wait, an hour before I had milk, an hour before I had, a cappuccino or something. And then I mixed this food with certain things that didn't sit right with my particular body. And I've always said, I've heard a lot of Ayurvedic people just generalize, don't do this. Even in Ayurveda, it's very particular. Like your body is very individual compared to someone else's body. So unless you are someone who has major problems, you can eat a good salad. There's nothing wrong with a good salad because I know Ayurveda and salad have a lot of fear mongering attached to it. But if your body is able to digest that salad, it's fine. Just don't eat a salad for every single meal, right? So understand your body. And I think that is one of the most important things when it comes to food and internal body. Now, external body, if something's working for you, don't change it. If you have a good moisturizer, a good cleanser, and it's working for you, don't change it. But if you think, oh, now I've switched from 30s to 40s and I need something extra, because I see fine lines appearing and this is just a simple moisturizer, what else can I add? You really have to add things that your body need, not because you want. I wake up in the morning and my face is dry, which means I need more hydration externally. And internally, yes, but also externally because I can see visibly signs of hydration. And that's why I love the K Beauty mask because you just apply it and you sleep and you wake up and you have the plumpiest skin ever. Again, should a 20-year-old be buying that? Absolutely not. To do it once in a while, okay, that's fine. But as a consistent thing in your skincare routine, probably not, because you're not waking up with dry skin. But if you are someone, in your mid 30s, late 30s, or even early 30s and late 20s, and you have this dryness going into your skin, and you can visibly see it when you wake up in the morning, oh, my skin is not hydrated enough, that's when it's actually very beneficial for you to buy it. So just because I am putting out a product that is working for me and I am explaining why and what the purpose of it, I want people to understand that, oh, she's using it, I'm going to buy it. No. Oh, she's using it. This is solving this problem for her. I have the same problem. I'm going to buy it and try it for myself. And that's the whole goal of why I'm constantly testing products. Because again, something that doesn't work for me doesn't mean it's not going to work for other people. And that's why I also don't go in the negative hole too much, unless they're like extreme claims, which sometimes there are, because not necessarily the product is bad. It's just that it didn't work for my particular skin.
Let's start with the age one, because this is something where I think a lot of the listeners will really, really relate to, because we have different ages. We've got people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and up that are listening. I do notice, going 39 now, I notice my skin is very different from when I was in my even mid 20s, I would say. It's a lot drier, a lot less oily than it used to be. I don't know if that's like pattern for everyone, but what are some of the things that people might notice, every person being different, as you said, but people might notice going into each decade a little bit more? Like, what are some of the things that require perhaps more care, more attention, switching up, that we might not think about? Because the dryness was definitely one I was unprepared for as someone who grew up with oily skin.
As we grow older, according to Ayurveda, you have like sections of your age. They divide like the early age is the the kapha age, then the pitta age. As you grow older, you start entering into the vata age, which is the air element, and it has dry properties. So as you age, it's not just that the skin is getting drier on the outside, it's also becoming dry on the inside. Maybe you know about this already, but it literally blew my mind. About 50% of the women lose collagen in their vagina in perimenopause. And I was just like mind blown. Like, what? Like, how is that even possible? One of the most excruciating pain a woman can experience if that happens to the woman. And perimenopause is like an extreme situation for most women, with hot flashes, with so many internal changes going on in the body. So when we are in our 30s especially, we need to start prepping the body for that perimenopause age, because it can last 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years for some people, even more for some people, right? I'm 39 and my whole focus is shifting towards like, how can I prepare my body? So I'm like always looking, okay, collagen. I know there's mixed research about collagen, but it does something. There's no negative impact on collagen. But now I'm like literally hunting for a collagen. Doesn't make me constipated. Again, there's like so many pieces to build together, increase my protein intake. So it's literally like finding those sweet points, but everybody is going to be needing different things. But one thing as a woman who is in their late 30s, especially, I would encourage you to start increasing your protein intake in the body. Ayurveda doesn't believe in protein, but if you are on an Ayurvedic protocol, you already have that covered, with the diet and the lifestyle that you are living. But if you are an individual who's not following Ayurveda or the Ayurvedic protocol, then you should incorporate protein in your diet.
So funny, the collagen hunt is real for anyone over 35. You're going to see just how much you are looking for that. But I think now would be interesting to speak to you a little bit more, because you've brought it up a few times about Ayurveda. I think some people have some ideas of it now, but I think it's helpful to kind of revise the main concepts, but also from the standpoint of how it impacts your skin and your hair, if you would be able to do that.
So, I think a lot of people see health from one side. And what Ayurveda has taught me is to see health as a 360 view. Every time I am buying a product, drinking water, anything, I don't see it as I have to drink a certain amount of water. No, no, no. I'm going to drink the water that my body needs. There's a difference. Like, you have to drink 2 gallons of water. No, not really. You don't have to do anything. You really need to drink the water that your body needs to find your balance. So there are no have tos when it comes to health. I ate Chinese food yesterday and I can see like, a little bit of swelling on my face because it was excess oil, excess salt. They do show up on your skin, on your face, and how you're metabolizing as you're growing older. It's not just about this and that, it's about this happened, this, and it's a possibility, then that is going to happen, and that is going to happen. And how do I feel? And again, it all comes back to how do I feel today? And that will give you a lot of answers about your health. So one thing that Ayurveda teaches, and I think a lot of time people complicate their life with the doshas and, oh, but I don't understand, but my dosha, and don't do that. Just listen to your body. Once you start learning about Ayurveda, it can be a little overwhelming because it's a vast pool. I am still a student and I feel like I'm going to be a student for the rest of my life because there's so much to learn. And every time, like even talking to my Ayurvedic doctor, I'm like, well, but this. And she's like, well, it's also this, but your genetics don't recognize that. And I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. There's not just one thing. There's so many layers of health that come into consideration. And the more you understand, the more you really become intuitive. That's basically the word. Start listening to your body. You're going to start solving a lot of things on your own.
There are so many solutions, as you know, and so many different things that we could do for various parts of our body. And many women listening, like myself, we have hundreds of products that we are not using, that we've gone through. And it is, in some ways, it's simpler but more complex to say, really be intuitive and recognize what your body's telling you, as you said with the Chinese food, for instance, because sometimes you can't read and learn enough to really understand the full complexities of your body on that day at that stage of your life as what it can show you. And I like that you really emphasize that as well within the guidelines of what you're teaching.
100%. It is extremely important. And this is no calling out to anyone, but when you go to a professional for a problem, oh my God, I have signs of aging. The solutions are Botox and retinol or a facelift. I might get a facelift actually. It's someday. I don't know. I'll tell that a much later question of life. Um, but those are like the only options. Now, European Union has put restrictions on how much retinol you can buy over the counter, right? And I've always liked European Union is a little bit more stricter when it comes to inner health compared to the US. There have been very vague answers from them also, like what is the reason? But so much vitamin A going into your body because retinol is going to penetrate through your skin. And that's why you see such good results. And now I see 25-year-old kids using retinol because they're like, oh, my only regret is I didn't start using this early enough. I know someone, a big creator who made a video like, even after being on retinol, I was still breaking out. So I went to my dermatologist and they gave me the highest prescription of retinol. And I actually wrote in the comment section, imagine being on the highest dose of Parkinson's at 30. Now apply that to the skin. That's what you're doing to your skin. There's no judgment if you're someone who's chosen to do Botox and fillers, if that makes you happy. But from my perspective, I'm like, why am I injecting this in my body? Can I accept myself the way I look? Or is it other people's judgment that's making me do that? And sometimes I stand with a lot of people my age and I look the oldest and I'm okay with that. It doesn't bother me, And again, there's no judgment if this is something that makes you happy, but think at least once of the long-term consequence it might bring to your health. And I think that piece is missing right now, that people are not thinking what's going to happen to my health 20, 30 years from now. All the people who come out, I've been using retinol for 25, 30 years are Asians who genetically have people of Korean or Chinese descent, even Japanese, who genetically have a good skin, but also their diet has a lot of probiotics, a lot of good things already in their diet. So again, for me, it's a question. I want to see, an Indian person, how their skin turns out like 50 years from now when it comes to retinol. Or 20, 30 years, you've used retinol for 30 years. I want to see your medicine cabinet, what's in there. And that could probably give me a little better vision of if this is something I want to do with my skin. And I always feel like if a person is making a choice for themselves, me as another human being have no right to judge them. But this is my perspective, and this is what I am spreading as my mission, as a message. Like, think of whatever you're doing to your body today is going to be at 60, 70, 80, your medicine cabinet, how you can walk, if you can bend, if you can do things. Whatever you're doing today is going to show up when you are 30, 40 years from now.
This is what's so interesting, especially about when you're talking about the face, isn't it? Because a lot of the products and the damage that we create comes out later. So you don't actually see it initially. And even sometimes you don't see it for a couple of years and you think, well, it's fine. I'm thinking of sun damage in particular, right? People who've went to the tanners and did all of that for years and they're fine, did it all their 20s, and then it comes out in their late 30s. You start to see it. I feel like there's not enough education on the harm that can come from it. There's not enough education as well on the alternatives. Like, you can take care of your skin. This is not the only option. And I also feel like if you're making that decision and you fully know what's going on, that's fine. But thinking also, like, is the only thing you're going to do the retinol? Are you going to do something in addition? Are you going to take care of your gut, like you were saying? Are you going to focus on movement? All of these things that I think we kind of just find the one solution because it works for that year and then we forget about it. But it made me think about how it used to be with breast implants. I remember growing up thinking, I'm going to get that as soon as I'm 25, I'm getting my breast implants, because no one talked about the repercussions. What happens. And it's now only, like you were saying, 20, 30 years later, after people have had the first ones, that you start to see all of these diseases and issues that came up that nobody really talked about before. So I get, wanting to know what is the long-term impact of this.
It's like we're so focused on the outer beauty, on how I look, And I get weird comments on my age because sometimes, like, why do you, in one of the most common things, like, why does she look 20 and 50 at the same time? Because of my hair, probably. But
Ah.
it's just hilarious. And it's like some people are going to be like, oh, you look like 30s. And then some people are like, you look like 60s. But the moment you don't let that impact your mental health, it becomes easier to accept you the way you are. Because I know it's not just this, it's actually biological, chronological age inside as well that matters. The beauty sleep is not a cliche word, it's a real thing. It's legit a real thing. If you are someone who's losing a lot of hair, my first question to people is, especially women, how many hours do you sleep? And most people come back saying 5 to 6 hours. And I'm like, start sleeping 8 to 9 hours. Your hair problem might be solved right there. You don't need supplements. You don't need a good shampoo. You don't need any sleep. Sleep impacts your hair, your skin, because when you are sleeping, your body is regenerating the cells. And if you don't give your body enough time to repair, your body is going to start falling apart. And I prioritize that now. And skin and beauty products, 20% outside, 80% inside.
I was gonna ask how you would break that down. Like, if you had to decide, like, what would be the topical stuff you put on versus what you put inside of your body. And it feels like that's very true. That percentage, when you start shifting the inner habits that you do, is a lot more powerful than the outer products that you buy. I mean, I think you can see both, right? Like, you can see changes with both, but it is them together. For sleep, it's so interesting because it's hard, right? Like, let's just say that it's hard to get
For a
8 hours.
young mom, yes. For a mom with young kids, yes. But that's the only place where it should be acceptable, right?
True. Yes. Yeah. I'm thinking though of people who are like overworking, super stressed out as well. Are there any Ayurvedic principles around supporting your sleep, or even just guidelines or protocols that you have followed that you find are really great for not just getting more sleep, but that deeper sleep, which is really essential for the healing and the repairing?
Okay, this is going to sound really, people are going to be like, there's no research that backs it up. But I'm still going to say that yoga nidra. If you are
Ah.
someone who is having a hard time falling asleep or even staying asleep, start practicing yoga nidra and breath work, pranayama, we call it, right? And both those things are going to help regulate your nervous system. And that's going to help you fall asleep faster. Okay, stress is one of the worst things that people can carry on their shoulders, right? And sometimes you touch someone's shoulders and you can feel it. Oh my God, your shoulders are so tight. Your neck is so tight. You're holding everything right there, right? I think pranayama helps you regulate your breath because if you're nervous, you're angry, you're anxious, anything that happens, the first thing you lose is your breath. So if you learn to maintain and control that breath, you will learn to kind of, manage your emotions, which is huge factor of not being able to sleep or stay asleep because that anxiousness is causing. You don't even need to sit and meditate. Practice breath work more because you're actually doing it, your mind is not wandering into different directions. So when people are like meditation is important, for me personally and my personal experience is no, pranayama, breath work is more important than meditation. Once master that, then once you learn how to sit and control your mind through breath, then you start meditating. Your meditation is going to be way more impactful because any person you talk to, oh, I don't like to meditate because my mind wanders. And that's the first complaint that people have. But if you start with breath work where you're focused one, two, any breath work, right? 1, 2, 3, you were doing the box breath work, you're doing the anuloma Vinlomo, any breath work. You're so focused on 1, 2, the numbers in the beginning.
Because we do the opposite. We always try to master the meditation first, and then you learn about breath work. But when you kind of have half mastered the meditation, and so then it doesn't really work. But I love that because I've seen the difference in how it calms your nervous system with that change in your breathing pattern, and how instead of your heart racing and your mind racing when you hit the pillow, taking, an hour to fall asleep, you've taken that time to slow down.
I know of a few apps that are trying to see, how breath work is helping people manage diabetes, how breath work is helping people manage high blood pressure and other problems in their body. So it's not just one benefit, there's multiple benefits. But yes, I agree the research is still lacking. There needs to be bigger research, but Maybe someday if I become a billionaire, I'll pour some money into that research.
We'll update this episode in a few years, everyone. And we'll have the exact percentages and everything and how fast it makes you fall asleep. But I think it's really good advice because it's doable, it's actionable, it doesn't require going out and buying anything. It's just about you learning a couple techniques that you can do at home. As it's coming to a bit of the close, is there one thing in particular that you would say to people just for their overall health to start with that you think is really helpful? And it could be something we've already discussed that you just want to highlight again, or it could possibly be something different.
A very simple word, yet very difficult to maintain. And that word is routine. Oh, I went out last night, so I need 3 days to recover. So, boom, down the drain. And some people are like, no, I have a routine. I eat lunch every day. I eat dinner every day. But then I ate lunch yesterday at noon. Today I'm eating at 2:30. And that's not a routine. Like that's nowhere close to a routine, right? And I learned the importance of routine, not just through Ayurveda, but through a neurologist. In my second pregnancy, I had hyperemesis and the medication was not working. Like the only choice I had was to take the medication and it wasn't working. I saw a neurologist and he said, because you have to take that medication at the same time every day. Give yourself a 15-minute window. Let's say you're eating breakfast at 8 a.m. So from, 7 to 7:15, you're going to take the medication. But every day, do that consistently and you're going to see how it works. And that just really got me into thinking the importance of a routine. Your body starts to come into this tuning that we spoke about before, and it starts to function better. It's very difficult to maintain that routine. So if you can even give yourself windows of, I'm going to wake up every day between 6 to 6:30. And then between 6:30 to 7, I'm going to do my oral care. I'm going to freshen up. And at 7 a.m., I'm going to start exercising. Some days I slept over, so let's give that a window from 7 to 7:30. So then your body expects certain things and it starts to function in a much better way. There's going to be days where like, I really can't wake up, sleep, that's fine. But 2 days later, when your body is healed, don't give up. Bring your body back to that routine.
The routine is probably the answer that no one wanted.
Believe me, no
But
one. Absolutely.
no,
People were expecting she's going to give a magical pill that I'm going to pop and boom, everything is, I'm going to go on Amazon, I'm going to buy that magical pill and boom, everything's going to be perfect.
pretty much. But the routine, the way you explained it, that makes a lot of sense too, just from the standpoint of understanding your body. Because if you're constantly changing the variables of when you work out, when you eat, what you eat, if you drink, when you drink, all of this stuff, then it's very hard to learn your body because you don't actually know what it's reacting to. Like you're able to say, I had Chinese yesterday and I know that's what's caused the bloating for me. If you were constantly changing what you're eating, when you're eating, all of that, then you wouldn't be able to say that because you don't know for sure. It could be something else. So it makes total sense.
Do you like to go in shock mode all the time? So that's what we do when we don't have a routine. We're putting our body into different shock modes. And then the people who cannot sleep, again, one of the reasons is because you're making your body go into these micro shock modes that you don't even realize.
Go and try. You need to put one thing on a routine.
Yeah.
One thing, be it your breakfast, be it your workouts, be it when you sleep or when you wake up. Try one thing. Like you shared so much stuff, and I'm not even kidding. This conversation could go really long. So it's with a heavy heart that I'm ending it. But I know that not just me, but other people are going to want to connect with you further to really learn more. So if you can share how they can do that, the best ways.
You can literally look up my name, Kirti Tewani. Follow me on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube. It's same handle everywhere. Yeah, I'm very happy to share my 2 cents all the time. And it is not just a reminder for everyone, but it also is a reminder for me.
And thank you so much for listening. If you found this helpful, make sure you share it. Let others know maybe some other solutions they can use for hair care, skin care, but also just ultimately feeling really good in our bodies. Let me know what really stuck out for you. What is your feedback here? What has made a difference for you? You can let me know in the reviews or find me on Instagram, Ryel, and I will see you in the next one.